You know, you go to the gym to work out. You don't go to the gym only when you have a bodybuilding competition to compete for.
Yes.
Right.
Actors should be working on their craft every day. So if you can do that and get a little money for it.
And what a great way to branch out from your normal, maybe little bubble of actors that are always there for you and great, but maybe have the same notes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're suddenly working with somebody you would have never, ever met.
This is the Cinematography for Actors podcast.
More than a podcast, Cinematography for Actors is a vibrant community devoted to bridging the gap between talent and crew. Each week, our show offers transparent, insightful conversations with industry leaders. We unveil the magic behind the scenes, from candid discussions about unique filmmaking processes to in-depth technical exploration. Join us in unraveling the intricacies of filmmaking one episode at a time. It's more than just cameras and lenses. We aim to inspire, educate, and empower as we peel back the curtain on the art of effective storytelling. Now on to the episode.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the CFA Cinematography for Actors podcast. I'm your host, Haley Royal, joined by my other hosts, Brianna Wing and Indiana Underhill. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi. We are also joined by a guest that we are really excited about, and we got it to happen so quickly. This happened mostly because of him. It's Darren Darnborough. He taught me how to say it English, and so I'm really proud of myself for saying it that way. Darren is a British-born actor working in Hollywood. His TV and film work includes many hit U.S. shows. His upcoming projects include films alongside Oscar winner Jordan Peele and Sundance-winning Cannes nominee director Justin Chon. Darren is a member of the TV Academy, SAG-AFTRA, Equity, and regularly attends major film festivals, including Sundance, Cannes, TIFF, Venice, and South by Southwest. And he also attends award shows, including the Emmys, BAFTAs, and the Aritos Awards. Now, for the huge big reason we're excited to have Darren in the studio is because he's also the co-founder and CEO of WeAudition.com. As our listeners know, WeAudition is a revolutionary video chat community for auditions, rehearsals, self-tapes, and advice. It's connecting professional actors across the world as scene partners for each other. Welcome to the studio, Darren.
Thank you so much. Thank
So to have you. It was so exciting.
This is really funny because early on when we started CFA like a year and a half ago, Haley was in love, still is, but in love with We Audition. And I heard a lot about We Audition. And as a DP, it's like new software, new tools for me. But I found it so cool because one of the things we do at CFA is bridge the gap. But mostly but beyond education, it's creating a community. And what you've done with We Audition is make the actors world a little more accessible. And so I absolutely love it as a resource. And I know Haley does as well.
Making it a community, we like met a lot of cool people at a We Audition party.
Oh, yeah.
Like early on, it was a way cool place for us to go and talk to people and be like, we're doing this cool thing. So we used your thing to make our thing go.
That's exactly what it should be there for. Yeah. Which party did you attend?
It was at the Godfrey.
Yeah. Okay. Well, rooftop one.
Yeah, rooftop
nice.
one. Yeah.
We do those all over the world, and that's the point, is to help people connect in person as well.
Yeah, the cool thing about these parties is they're free too. So
Absolutely.
Actors can just go hang out in a cool place, get dressed up, take some pictures, and meet each other there.
Yeah.
Which we love doing.
Now let's talk about why We Audition was started, how it came about, because I always love like a founder story. So how was We Audition thought of?
So going back to like 2013, a lot of people thought that we started in the pandemic, but actually we started a long time before that. I had a friend who was the original YouTube star, actually. She's one of the first people to get 1 million views on YouTube.
Whoa.
She was also an actor in LA, and like many actors, she also had an evening job working in a restaurant, but would be very busy as an actor and got a lot of auditions. So one day she called me up. She needed someone to read with her, as we all do. And I was on a set at the time and I couldn't help her. I was doing a show called Two Broke Girls. And as sitcoms often do, they'd just given me some new sides because the thing we did didn't really work. So they've rewritten the script. So I had my friend on the phone saying, will you help me with my lines? And I'm like, no, I've got to learn my lines. And she's like, well, can you just like Skype me or something? And I was like, no, because I'm literally got to go back on set in like 10 minutes knowing my new lines. And we both had this problem of I could have needed some help to learn my lines, but I was sitting there on my own in my dressing room. She ended up Skyping her mum in New Zealand. And a few minutes later, maybe an hour later, she'd sent me this survey. And it was kind of vague, but it kind of pertained to the idea of what if there was a community of people that could just read with each other through video chat, would you do it, type thing. And I said, this is genius. We need to, like, I want to do this with you, but it needs to be a worldwide thing. I'd had some experience of building a different platform. I had a company before, which was basically like all the casting platforms are now, but for brand ambassadors, you know, the pretty people that hand out free stuff, exhibition stuff, things like that. And so I'd built and scaled that business to hundreds of thousands of users worldwide. So I said, let's do that with this, but as a video chat platform where actors can communicate like you did with your mum, who's not an actor, who's in New Zealand. And so her and I, Jessica and I, we worked on the idea, sort of knocked around what it was going to be and how it's going to work, because we weren't quite sure. People weren't doing this already. We weren't really doing video chat in those examples. And we had to figure out how the community would work and how they would pay each other and all those things. And then, yeah, we formulated the idea and came up with a plan. And then I was like, right, I don't want to run another company again, because I've done this before without a technical co-founder.
Right.
Because we bought in that service before, and that's very expensive and very slow. So the next step was to find our technical co-founder, who is a great friend of mine and actor and producer himself, Richard Cambridge. And he was also a superstar web developer. Didn't want to do it. Like most actors, is like, no, I'm an actor, I don't do this. And so I didn't ask him for probably 6 months. We tried to find another technical co-founder. I was going to all the tech events. I was doing, you know, reaching out to my friends in Silicon Valley, but no one was gelling, you know. I just couldn't find that person. And in the end, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to call my friend up. I know he told me never to ask him. And so I flipped open Skype. I did one of those things where you don't tell someone you're going to Skype them. You surprise them with a Skype.
I love it.
Which is
I miss that ring coming in, that very like oh God, the familiar ring coming in from somewhere, and you run over to your computer to open it up. Yes.
And he was on his computer, as he often was. He lived in England. It's late at night, I think, and he's like, what's up? And I was like, okay, I know you said never to ask you, but what about if there was this and this, you know, community of readers that help each other through video chat like we're doing now, on demand? And he was like, huh, I'm in. And I was like, wait, what? That easy?
Wow.
And he said, yeah, I just needed this. My wife's at work. I just needed this.
Wow.
Wow.
I said, what did you do? He said, I read my own lines and played them back. And that's horrible.
Wow. You never know. Always ask.
Oh my gosh.
And you asked at the right time too.
Yeah.
You just listened to your gut and followed the timing of it all.
And he's came on as a co-founder, and he's now my business partner. Jessica left the business quite a while ago. So as Richard and I, you probably know from the parties and stuff, we've taken it forward, and that's the business now, 7 years later.
Fantastic.
Oh, I love that story.
And I mean, for any actor who's ever recorded their own lines and played them back and then tried to like put them in the audition and like adjust the voice a little bit to make it's so terrible. So like you really did call just at the right time, because there is almost nothing more demoralizing than doing that with yourself.
Well, and also it's not acting, because if by nature, if you've done the other lines, you know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's
Acting
not
is
acting.
reacting,
The
right?
timing's bad. It's
horrible.
all bad.
It's all very. It's like when you listen to a podcast and they've had the questions planned out in advance, and you can hear it.
Yeah,
they're just reading off of this thing.
Not organic at all.
Yeah,
that's really amazing. And one of the cool things about that, if I remember correctly, because I remember I asked Haley to like walk me through the platform and things like that, is you offer people can like tip, or it's like they set their rates, which I really love, because it's like donation based, so it's accessible to every actor in a way.
Yeah, there's something for all levels, and
Yeah.
that's what we wanted to do, is really democratize the process and not be like, you have to charge this much. Just charge what you're worth, right?
Yeah.
And your worth can fluctuate. If you're on a show right now and you don't have time, but you still want to help someone out, your rate might be up here. If you are, you know, in between jobs and you want to earn some extra money, you could put your rate a little lower. And there's people that do it for free, because it's really good practice.
Yeah,
it's oiling those wheels, and it's like, you know, you go to the gym to work out. You don't go to the gym only when you have a bodybuilding competition to compete for.
Yes.
Right.
Actors should be working on their craft every day. So if you can do that and get a little money for it.
And what a great way to branch out from your normal, maybe little bubble of actors that are always there for you and great, but maybe have the same notes all the time.
Mhm.
And then you're suddenly working with somebody you would have never ever met, has spent like scene study classes in another school you've never worked with. It's like,
Yeah, you're going
such
to
a
hear
cool
notes you've
way.
never heard before because it's in a methodology that they
Yeah.
learned in that class that you've never been to that class before. I love
Yeah,
that.
so
Yeah,
it
that's cool.
cracks open a whole world for an
Yeah.
actor beyond just having a reader too.
Well,
Yeah.
I was telling Brie earlier, something that's really cool about We Audition is how I found the acting studio that I talk about a lot, LA Acting
Oh,
Studios,
yeah.
because I was just on reading for free, just hanging out. And I read with someone who was practicing for class at that studio. And then I ended up going to that studio because I was like, I love these sets. I love what you're saying about
That's
this
so
studio. So we
cool.
ended up there. So it all comes back
Feels
to
like you
the
need to get
community building.
sponsorship from all these studios.
Yeah.
And like talking about this leveling up part of that is actually we have so many actors that DM us and they've read with somebody that they know off TV.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
working actors are
love that.
using We Audition because they're the ones that are learning lines the most, right?
Mhm.
It's not just for auditions, you see. When you've got a job, you're on set every day, you've got to learn a script. You can still use We Audition to learn your
Mhm.
lines,
Mhm,
as
yeah.
you should be, right?
Yeah.
And when you're the reader in that situation, you're learning from someone that's working every day on a real set. That's kind of what your
Right.
platform is about,
Yeah.
is helping people bridge that gap.
Yes.
To me, if I was a younger actor starting out, and yeah, I'm fortunate now that my friends are on television.
Yeah.
So if I want some advice, I can ask them. But when I was starting out, I didn't know people on TV. I didn't have access to those.
Totally.
And so guess who you're reading with? You're reading with your other actor friends that are at the same level as you
Right.
and aren't very good. And you're picking up those.
You're all just not very good yet.
You're learning. You're learning.
And you're
Yeah.
learning from each other, and often you're learning from a coach that used to be an actor some way back in the day. It's also not very good.
Right.
Versus people that are actually on set. You know, we were talking about this earlier about the terminology and the comfortability around equipment and crew and
Yes.
DPs. You can't learn that until you're there, but you can learn that of someone that's doing it every day
Totally.
Mhm.
and understands a different way of working.
It's the
you know?
context, which I love. It's like as
Yeah.
much context as you can give people gives them that confidence and comfortability for when they arrive on set. Everything can fall away and they can just focus on their job.
And I don't know any actor that doesn't love other actors, no matter what level you're at.
Yeah.
I've met actors that have won Oscars to actors that are just getting started. Everybody, they all love actors because they've been there. And
Mhm.
so they love rehearsing, they love reading. I have a good friend of mine that a series regular on 7 seasons of a hit TV show. When I booked my first movie, I was still waitressing. He would come into the restaurant when he found out I booked the first movie, got up from his table with his friends, gave me a huge hug, and got emotional because he's like, I remember exactly how that feels. I'm so excited for you.
Oh my gosh,
And
Brie.
it's like, it's so beautiful at that level because they still remember, you know,
Mhm.
and there's so many pockets of people that don't understand the day-to-day psychological roller coaster that is being an actor. And so when other actors that have maybe just made it or are just at like the second or third goal that you're, you know, journaling about, and they see that you just ticked off that one, they get emotional with and for you. And that's why I love the acting community and why I think We Audition is so cool too, because it expands that beyond just who I might see at the restaurant, but it makes it on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a nice little story about this actually. When I was
Yeah.
in London, I was at a class at the Actors Centre. It's called the Actors Centre in
Oh, we
London.
used to go there.
Yeah, Covent Garden.
Wait, R.I.P. though. It's not there anymore.
Probably not. Probably not.
Haley used to live
RIP
in
the
London.
Actors Center.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was many years ago, and David Schwimmer was I think like guest lecturing because he was in a play at the time, and he was already the David Schwimmer from
Yeah.
Friends. And there was a fire alarm, and we all had to go and stand outside. And I was chatting to him outside. I think I had moved to LA by that point. I was just back in London, and he was telling me about how his first guest star is like his big breakout thing before Friends, obviously. He said, I didn't earn enough money to quit my restaurant job. He said, I was a roller skating waiter. in a place, I think it might have been like Swingers or somewhere like that in Santa Monica. And he said it was crazy because they wouldn't give me the night off work to watch my own episode, but we had televisions. He said there was TVs in the restaurant, and they just naturally were on that channel that his show.
Oh my God.
He said I was there watching myself have one eye on TV,
Serving with roller skating.
sandwich,
Yeah.
like your fries straight or curly.
That's
He
amazing.
said that's the paradox of the actor. That is the
Totally.
moment. I'm on television, but I'm asking you if you want your fries curly or
That's,
straight.
I love that.
Imagine hearing that in David Schwimmer's act.
I know.
His thing as well. He's very funny when he says
I
that.
love that. I one night I was working at a bar, like having beer spilled all over me, serving tables. And then the very next day, not 24 hours later, I was walking a red carpet at a premiere on Hollywood Boulevard as an actor that was in the movie. And I'm like, this is crazy. And then the
Such a
very
weird
next day I had to
feeling.
go back to waiting tables. I'm like,
Yeah.
this
You're
is
like,
so
"Hey, Dan."
insane.
I'm not going to give away who it is because he's a huge star now. Huge star.
Uh-huh.
But a couple of years before he was a huge star, a friend of mine who I met on a show that I did in the deep south, he's a British guy. His show and him were nominated for Emmys, and he called me and said, hey, can I crash on your couch? And because the show was flying him over and putting him up for one night at the Waldorf Astoria or like the Beverly Wilshire or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Fancy
only
hotel,
one night.
big suite, one night. So he crashed on my couch. The next morning, he rifled through my wardrobe to pick out some stuff to wear. Like, can I borrow this tie? Can I borrow this belt? I forgot this stuff to bring.
Oh my God.
Went to the Emmys, went to the Beverly Wilshire. Then the next night, it's back on my couch, and we were laughing so hard. We're like, if people could see this,
Yeah.
Totally.
It's so
Yeah.
frustrating. I'm like a little frustrated for everyone involved in these stories. It's wonderful. I get it. Like, but I'm also like, it's crazy,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's
that
just this
seesaw
high and
movement.
low. Yeah.
because now he's
Oh,
great,
for
doing
sure.
great. But it's just that
Yeah.
little moment where people think like you can be famous enough to be walking the red carpet and winning an Oscar,
But little do they know.
Little do they know.
Yeah.
That's
I
wild.
mean, that's kind of the whole thing too. Like you get into it, you've seen only from the outside,
Mhm.
this like very glamorous, very like the visual language of Hollywood, right? But like then behind it, like everyone you meet has a story like this, where either they're like shooting in the morning and then went to wait their jobs at night, or they like stayed on someone's couch and then went to an award show. It's so funny, but it's also like a really cool part of it. Like I kind
Yeah.
of love that like life, like the highs and lows. It feels, I don't know, like grainy almost.
And like I love having other actors that can relate to, because like when I have a similar emotional experience like that happening within 24 hours or a day, I can text another actor and they're like, oh my God, I get it. I know exactly what.
This way.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just like beyond therapy or other friend groups, there's like always a community of people that get it because they have the same goals and they know the dichotomy of what your morning could look like compared to your evening.
And that's why I think it's important for us to talk about that, because it's
Yeah.
relatable. Because if somebody is listening to a show like this, or they're, we're bombarded with the true Hollywood stories and all that. And I don't like it when people say stuff like, oh, I just fell into it, or this. I'm like, why are you kind of glossing over?
The hardest part of
It's
the
really
the
not
learning part.
possible to
Yeah.
just fall
Because
into
that
it.
magical part is that middle part, the grind, when you're in the weeds, right? And
Yeah.
you're like, I'm feeling uninspired. Should I quit? Should
Yeah.
I quit? I don't feel great. I haven't had a success for a while. I haven't booked anything for a while. I'm feeling kind of schlubby. Maybe I need to go get another day job. And like, that's when it's most important to rely on your community and keep going, because something in you was inspired by it, maybe even years ago. And like, don't let that lose its light. Maybe the flame gets a little bit smaller, but help bring everybody in to make it bigger.
One of the fringe benefits of We Audition that we never really realized when we started it, we've got this review system, so the readers get reviews, right? And the whole point of that is just to instill some credibility. If I book that person, I know that they're going to be good in these ways. I remember when we started, we were gamifying that a little bit with badges and stuff. And we remember saying, oh, when you get to like 5 reviews, you get this. And when you get to 10 reviews, and if you ever get to 50 reviews, you'll get this. We
Oh,
were like, no one's
gosh.
going to get to 50 reviews. There's not going to
Now
be.
you have a page of MVPs.
The people are getting, they've got 2,000 reviews, 3,000 reviews, right? It's beyond what we ever expected. This is one person, you know?
Yeah.
And if you think about, as an actor, how often do you get positive feedback? Almost never.
No, because
Right.
if you're doing a
Sure.
good job, they just move on.
If you're doing a good job, they move on set. No one really comes. I always joke about that because in Britain we don't tip, right? That's not really. We'll do for a very nice restaurant or something. We're not tipping at Starbucks, right? And I was always thinking, I never get tipped at my job. I barely get told as an actor that I did a good job. They just move on to the next bit. That's how you know you did good. And then unless you're famous, you don't really get mentioned in reviews. And there's also the negative part that usually if you're reading in the reviews, someone can say something crappy about you as well. With We Audition as the readers, they're getting positive reinforcement of their skill every day. Every time one of those reviews comes through and says, oh my gosh, Bree helped me so much with this. Oh my gosh, Darren helped me so much with that. That changed my game, or they brought something out of me. It's the reviews are so lovely. And I think the readers that are on there every day, that's helping them be better actors. It's helping them be more confident in their craft, because otherwise they're isolated. And at best, they're getting that from a class they might go to or something, which often can be very competitive.
Okay, we are stoked to shout out our audio sponsor, Deity Microphones. Their S-Mic 2 Pro shotgun mics have impeccable sound clarity, directionality, headphone monitoring, and a user-friendly design. And we're proud to launch our studio with them. Our goal is to bring you educational gems every episode, and with these mics, you can listen to the best quality audio possible wherever you are. To learn more about using Deity mics for your own podcasting, voiceover, or filming needs, go to deitymic.com.
Even if it's positive on the outset, someone's, a little passive aggressive about it, or, and I never found auditioning in person. There's a couple of people, they know who they are, that are very, very lovely, that I see at auditions, and we've seen each other in competitive auditions so much that I've actually helped them book jobs. I got asked to replace a role that I was doing because I got upgraded to a bigger role in the film, and the director asked me, can you recommend some people? And those are the people I recommended, right? And they got the job. But outside of that, it was sort of a weird competitive environment. People sort of like passive, oh, hey, good to see you. No, you don't think it's good to see me. I'm going for the same job with you.
And the takeaway here is your community once again can be supportive and can be helpful to you. Like you don't have to look at it as competition. And one of the biggest things we say at CFA is like, that's why we have community building events, because I'm like, your network is going to be the thing, your key to success in this industry. And whether you're learning or whether it's passing on a job or whether it's referral based, it's like, it's all gravy, like it's all good, you're not
actually in competition. Once you get to a confident place in your career, you realize it's my job or it's your job.
Exactly. Totally.
As long as you think you're good, that I'm at a place in my career now where, and I didn't get there straight away, but I'm like, I'm a good actor. That's okay to say. For many years I was like, oh, I'm not good enough, I need to be better. And I got to this point where I'm good enough.
I love that.
It's just not every job is my job. It doesn't mean and I turned that audition and I'm like, that was good enough. It doesn't, if I didn't get it, it doesn't mean that I wasn't good enough. It just means it wasn't my job.
And how lucky am I that I got to just have an audition, just do some acting with another actor.
I don't subscribe to that, to be honest.
Tell me about that.
I don't see it as lucky.
Great.
No, luck is walking down the street, someone says do this, right? When you put the work in that we have, that's not luck. That's part of the process.
Oh, you worked hard for it. You earned it.
I love that too.
You earned it.
Because your luck is diminishing your skill and your value.
That's
acting like you had nothing to do with it.
That's a great point. I was talking, my husband is an actor too, and he was working on some sides in the middle of the day, and he was like, I feel so happy that I can work on this right now and not at midnight. And we did kind of have that conversation. Actually, I was like, we worked really hard to build our life structure so that we can work on these sides in the middle of the afternoon. So that actually touches on what you just said. And it's true, because even if you're not yet a series regular on a hit TV show, if you are able to work on it and you had a full night's sleep, even
There you go.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. You built that.
Yeah.
You know, if I decide that if my friend texts me and says I want to go for margarita on a Wednesday afternoon, I'll go yes.
Yeah.
Because I've built my
can.
life to a degree where I can take advantage of those opportunities. I remember I once went and watched a rocket launch on a Tuesday.
Wow.
I had to get up. I got invited to Vandenberg it's like in mid California. I had to get up really early because it's on the Air Force, but I had some Air Force Base access. I forget how it came about, but it's like one of these unique opportunities. And I just thought, this is great. I will go and do this and I'll enjoy it because it's such a unique experience. And I've built the life to be able to do that. And here's the interesting part is next time that I go, oh, this is so hard or this is a struggle, I go, no, because that's the reward. I get to do things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that perspective.
You know,
I want to touch on something without giving any information away is about the like I'm good at acting thing and feeling comfortable and like understanding that your roles, some roles are meant for you and some like maybe it's just not that one, but it has nothing to do with your actual ability to perform. Is Bree booking something recently. You were feeling so confident in that audition.
Oh yeah.
It was like the first time I'd ever heard you be like, I felt great about that audition. I feel really excited about it. And you hadn't heard about anything, but we won't say what it is, but she booked it, which is really exciting.
Thank you.
And it was like a monumental occasion.
It was
but it was like you literally came into the studio and you were like, I feel really good about this. Can I show it to you guys?
Yeah, that felt great. It like I had a lot of fun with it. I felt really grounded and at peace. It just felt right. And I had a lot of fun doing the actual audition, so much so that I just moved on with the rest of my day afterwards, being like, that felt really good. That was a lot of fun. And I didn't really think about it afterwards.
Like having done the audition and like being stoked about it, you were like, that was great. And move on. And like if they hadn't called, you still would have had a great time doing that audition.
Totally.
I mean, stoked that they did,
so
stoked that you booked it. That's awesome.
And
but
that
also
felt
like you found a space of just being like, that was great.
Yeah. And so when I found out I booked it, I had a moment of like, well, that just is even better because I already had a lot of fun.
Comfortability and the confidence I think came through because it felt like she built a whole setup in front to like mimic what the character was doing. She changed her backdrop that she'd never done before, moved to a different part of the house. And so it felt like all of those elements came together where your comfortability and confidence in front of the camera, like we can see that, and so I feel like that sold it quite a bit probably.
I love the thing you said there because, it's not about your backdrop. It's not about all these things.
Yeah.
It's about being in the space and acting, right?
Yeah, I was just
played.
inspired. I was like, I want to do it here because this feels good for this moment in time for this thing.
Yeah. But all of that suggests to me that you were embodying that character and you felt comfortable in that character and it was your character.
Exactly.
And that's what probably came
That's
across.
why she booked it.
And that's why you booked it, right?
happened.
And then you moved on in your day because you were like, that's the best I could do.
Yeah.
And a lot of actors will get in our heads about, oh, what could I do differently? And I think it's good to be, I like to have a process where I'm immediately critical. I go, well, what could I, if I wasn't happy? And this is more to do with in-person auditions because with a self-tape, you just do it again if you weren't happy, right? When you come out of an in-person audition, you go, if I could have done this or this in a specific sense, I don't go down the rabbit hole. But I mean, let's say I didn't, whatever it was that I didn't do,
right?
You could do that with self-tapes. You've got that chance and that choice to do something different. But then once I've sent that self-tape off, I'm like, I'm back on my day. I'm back on We Audition. I'm back with my friends. I'm back with doing whatever I was supposed to be doing, whether it's working out or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think about it. I'm like, I put it in the abyss. There's a big movement right now in the UK. I don't know if you heard about this, the yes or no thing.
No.
So I was having lunch with a casting director friend of mine, Lady Sophie Holland. We're talking about this yes or no concepts in the UK, where the actors and the union there are pushing for casting and production to give you a yes or a no.
Oh,
wow.
Like in the room?
No, at some point.
At some point. Okay.
And we were discussing like the pros and cons of this, trying to have like a mature conversation about it, but we both landed on the thing of it's just not feasible, and it's actually not feasible from a casting point, and it's not good from an actor's mentality point is what I was suggesting. So both ways it's not good. From a casting point, it's extra fuss and extra work, right? To imagine you've seen a few hundred people, you've got to email their agents, oh no, they didn't get it, right?
Mhm.
No, the no comes when you didn't get the yes, in my mind.
Totally.
It's a no until it's a yes. But then there's also that thing of, if you've got a few options and you're waiting for your top person to say yes, and you've told everyone else no,
Mhm.
and then imagine you have to go back to that person and say, actually, it's not no, it's a yes. That person's going to be like, I don't really feel great about that, right? So it's, I think for the actor's mentality, that's actually worse. And then the other thing is, I asked some actors, I said, why do you need a no? And they're like, well, so I can just move on with my day, so I'm not blocking that time out. It's like, why were you ever blocking the time out? That's as absurd to me. I love to use dating analogies with acting.
Fun.
That's as absurd to me as me swiping on 20 girls on Tinder and keeping my Tuesday free in case one of them says yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Personally,
I put my audition out there.
Yeah.
But if one of them comes back and messages me and we get into a thing, fine. If you're on a pencil or on a what do we call it over here, pin,
A pin, yeah.
then you should be told yes or no, because they've asked you to hold your availability. But
Right.
from the audition out there, guys, put it out there. Forget about it. Your mental health will be
Right.
better.
I really value it. You know, it took a couple of years to get here, but now I really value the meditative space that I've found to be able to do an audition and send it off and forget about it. You know, like, have I enjoyed doing the audition? Do I feel like I did a good job? That's a gift. Goodbye. If it comes back, awesome. But I think a yes or a no would pull me back into that beginner space of being like, did I get it? Did I, you know, and just like holding on for a yes or a no. Like, I don't
then
need
you're waiting,
the no.
you're waiting for that, because again, you don't know when it's going to be, because the dates might change or whatever. So then you're waiting for that no.
We have some exciting news. CFA has teamed up with We Make Movies to get you a discount on production management services, including access to comprehensive production insurance and workers' comp for your next shoot. Visit wemakemovies.org/insurance and use code CFA23 on your intake form for 10% off your quote.
I don't know what your hit rate is, but mine's probably like 1 in 30. I don't
Mine's
want
way
I don't
lower
want
than
29 people telling me no.
Right.
I'd rather them tell me nothing.
Because the other thing is, even if you didn't book that job, there's still other yeses on this underlying like thread of not booking that job.
Maybe
because
another
it could be
time.
yes, that was a great tape, but not right for this role. So casting can file it away for next time. Yes, that was a great character she created. Yes, that was a great outfit she chose to complement like subtly this character. So there are so many yeses, and that would be hidden by a glaring no.
I just don't want it to come back to me in any way except for celebratory. Like if it comes back and it's a no, then it darkens all the fun I had putting together this audition.
Right.
You know?
And you know, we've all had situations where something's come up many months after it. You've forgotten about something and it comes back around.
Every time.
I actually,
really
one of my last jobs last year, which I'm not going to mention what it was, but I was actually the second COVID choice. The first choice got COVID.
Whoa.
That's like a no, then a yes, because I got pinned. Then it was a no, and then I remember that I got a call on Sunday being like, "Can you come on a COVID test tomorrow? You got the job." And you know what? When I was about to say I don't care. I care for the actor that got COVID. I feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
I don't care that I was the second choice. Great, you got a job.
Perfect. Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. All that told me was I was always good enough.
Yeah.
They had to choose someone. They chose him. Then they chose me.
Yeah.
I don't get caught up with it. I just go, "That's great. I got the job," and move it on. Right. And I think since all the COVID stuff, that's happened even more. They have to have a second choice, right?
Yeah.
But I'm in a really unique position with my business because I get to talk to casting directors every day, right? They're friends, they're colleagues. I have a good line of actors into them. And as an actor that's speaking to them, but also the co-founder of the company, I feel like they talk to me genuinely. And the one thing that I feel most actors are discussing right now is, are our tapes watched? Do they care? Yeah, they do, right? And I think they wouldn't tell me they did privately if they didn't. What I'm hearing from cast directors, they do love seeing the performances. They do watch them. They are trying to find the right person, right?
I mean, that's their job, right? You'd hope they're passionate about it. So, yeah.
And you know what? They don't get paid enough. They don't work enough. So if they didn't love it, they wouldn't do it. There's many things to do that's going to make them more money. You're not out there just trying to make a quick buck with this stuff. And so I think the more actors can understand, that's why we do the events actually, because we try and bring people together. So we reduce this hierarchy and this them and us attitude, right?
Nice.
But the more actors can understand that their work, if it's good, is being seen. And actually, you know what? It's being filed away like that. Darren's not right for this, but you know what? I'm going to call him back. And I tell you something, now I've been in this career long enough to understand this. That does happen, not next week, not in 6 months, over a period of years.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you start to build up a credibility where someone knows what work you can do. And I've had a couple this year that were just straight offers. I'd never had that before.
Amazing.
You know,
That's awesome. Congratulations.
thank you.
I
But
love
it's
straight
just-
offers.
Yeah.
It's just that thing of like they've seen your work so
Yes.
many times.
Yeah.
They just already know that
And you
you'll.
think you think they're not realizing that. I remember going to Atlanta one time and I dipped into this, seminar, casting director runs the thing. And I sat at the back. I had an agent in Atlanta for a few years at that point. And afterwards I went and got up and I waited for everyone to rush the casting directors. I hung out by the door. I went over and I was like, I just wanted to say hi. Then she's like, we know exactly who you are. We see your tapes, like, and I was like, really? She's like, yeah. I said, well, you never booked me. She's like, oh, trust me, we're trying to. Like, you're so good at this. And I was like, wow.
That's amazing.
She's like, of course we know who you are. We literally
see
see
you.
your tapes several times a month.
Amazing.
That's
That
such an
is
important
so
beautiful.
thing to say, I think, to everyone listening who is we're bridging the gap between talent and crew and expanding people's networks and community through education and events. But one of the biggest things I think is important to share with crew all the time is, and we talk about a lot, is whether it's the actor introducing them on set as they're coming up, just going to the operator and going, hi, I'm Bree, I'm doing this. Or it's crew able to, just say hi to the actor when they're coming up with the focus, like to get focus or come up with measuring tape if the director's approved, saying hello, things like that is such an important part of just having confidence on set and feeling comfortable with who's around you and who is collaborating with you, and is one of the biggest things we teach. And so I just love that they did that, because it just it sets this bar of just being familiar. And recently, Bree being on set, the director was like, I loved your tape, this was so great. The DP, the operator, they were all coming up and saying hello, so that you felt at ease for that.
It wasn't like an us versus them thing, because you walk on set, maybe your call time is 2 p.m. and they've been there since 8 a.m. and you're like, oh gosh, I'm just arriving. The machine has started and the train has left the station. But it is all collaborative, and you can get to know everybody. You are part of the team just like everybody else.
If it's just a hi, I mean, that's it. But it is getting rid of that hierarchy in a way.
Make sure it's a collaborative method. And but as someone that's done co-stars and some leads, I feel that much more in a leading role or a high-level guest star than I do as a co-star. So I want to ask you, for the actors that are, say, co-star level, or even under fives, or even background, right? How do you recommend? Because of course, every background can't be going up to the
no.
higher. There's a. So what do you recommend for that as someone that's on crew?
Yes. For background, I would say it's more about, you have a point person, and I think the point person is going to be your point person. But it is for co-stars, for guest stars, I think you're at a level where crew should be coming up if there's anything to do with you. So if a gaffer is coming up to you because they need to adjust positioning or lighting or something, and they've been given that direction, they should be coming up to you and going, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to move this light over here. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be a back and forth, but it can be just like hey, I'm doing this. And I think that level of comfortability on set doesn't take a lot out of people's day. And I think from a crew standpoint, if they're associating with you in some capacity, I think there should be just even an acknowledgement of that you are there as an actor. And so I'd say on a background level, you're with your point person. But from like anywhere from co-star, guest star, or leading, obviously, I think there should be some level of communication.
Even as background, though, no, you're not talking to the camera operator or the DP, but pay attention to what they're doing and the conversations they're having. Background.
That's an educational lesson that you can be on set learning in addition,
It's kind of the position, like background is such a unique position, right? Because you are on screen, but you're also not, it can feel very isolating. Like you can feel so far away. And also we've had it drilled into our heads as someone who works background frequently that don't get in the way and don't don't talk to people all day because they're busy. And it can, if every single person who works background is trying to talk to the AD, it can be overwhelming. But yes, like it is a position of learning.
Yes.
And being able to stand and watch. And then also, if you're the type of background working who is standing and watching and paying attention to the conversations, that's something that is noticeable. You can see that in the way that you just, you know, can confidently cross the frame without being like, oh, I wasn't.
Well, you can
noticing where
anticipate
it was
what's happening
going.
because you've been listening. So you know
Yeah.
that they're probably going to push into this. Like no one's probably giving you that direction yet, but it's like, you know that they're going to push into this. And so when you do cross frame, they're probably going to see you because you know what your frame is and that that's going to happen. And so understanding the technical parts of what's happening on set will motivate the creative for later on those decisions you're making as a co-star, as a guest star, as a lead, are going to be vital. And you're going to know that. I think one of the most like underrated positions on set for learning as well as a stand-in, because a stand-in is having constant communication with all heads of department. And it's a much easier role to job to get, not maybe like a professional stand-in for someone, that might not be easy, but like as general stand-in work is like a really accessible way to learn on set and get paid at a higher rate, which is nice.
And to be able to feel like you are bridging the gap a little bit more because you can have those conversations with heads of department. And there are fewer of you, so you're not bogging people down.
And you're usually hanging out with crew too, because you have to be right there and ready to jump in and listen for when, because you don't,
you're allowed and expected to be on set all day. Not
like if
hiding,
you can
not
be there
out in
before they
holding.
call second team, great.
Yes.
Amazing.
I know.
I would really like to talk about some of the other cool things that you have available through We Audition, because you do have the main reason it was created, which we've talked about and we love, but then you also have things like the green room. And I know for a while there were like open calls or things like that. Can we talk about some of the stuff on that left side?
What are your questions in?
I just want to know, okay, so like the green room. What is the purpose? Tell our listeners, what is the purpose of the green room?
So the green room, we sometimes come up with ideas and we're quite a nimble team. So we come up with an idea. We're like, yeah, let's try that out. Let's build that. And let's, some of them work, some of them don't. We go through iterations as most good tech companies should. And the green room was literally called that. It's designed to be what it is, like a green room on set. So you think, what do you do in the green room? You go in between takes and you hang out, or on a theater show. That's where you have a coffee and you have organic chats. So there's no agenda in a green room, right? If you want to sit in the corner and meditate, you do that. And if you want to have a chat about the football or you want to have a chat about your acting class, that's what you do. So the green room was designed to be a space where there is no agenda.
Cool.
So
I'm first. This first time hearing of it.
Now, why you would need a space to hang out on the platform is because our instant readers are exactly that. They're hanging out, waiting to be booked to be read, right?
Cool.
Now, it doesn't mean they're not doing their emails, whatever, but if you book a reader on our platform, they're instantly available. And so the ones that do it regularly, they're sitting there on their computer with their beacon on ready. So they can pop in the green room, just have a chat about life, about whatever's on their mind, you know. It's just a thing that we thought it helps build community. And then from time to time, we have special guests come in. So we had, you know, when the strike started, we wanted to support cast and directors and we wanted to support actors. So we designed a program where we would pay the cast and directors to come in and educate the actors, you know. So the actors weren't paying. We were supporting the cast directors. They were getting some content. And it just, again, those chats, they happened for a month, all day, every day. And it just allowed people to have familiarity with people, FaceTime, you know, with people they should be getting to know and on a different level. And these chats were 2 hours long.
Great.
They were collaborative. There's nine people in the room. And so the green room, for anyone that doesn't understand it, is it's 9 people involved, unlimited people watching.
Fantastic.
Right? And you can dip in and out of it.
Wow.
So you leave your seat, someone else can take your seat. But it's a collaborative, like what we're doing with 4 people right now.
This is cool. Wow.
But with 9 people.
Because what you have done is built a community, and there are these readers who have read for each other and with each other, and maybe they have nothing to read. They just want to, see a friend is available and they just want to be like, hey, what's up? Yeah,
that's it. And so you can just pop in and wait for someone to hang out and talk about stuff. But it might be, you know, if you're reading a script, that's one thing. That's what the reader search is for. But what about, I've got my first premiere tomorrow. I don't know what to wear. Maybe I'll pop in the green room and ask some people, hey, have you guys done a premiere. Like, what do you say on the red
Oh.
carpet?
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Use your community.
Yeah,
It can be there for whatever you want. Oh, I'm
Mhm.
looking to do some acting classes. What do you recommend? Like
totally.
anything you want, go in there and talk about it.
Yeah.
And we're going to update it soon with a little sort of widget that allows the first person in the room to set a topic if you want
Oh,
to.
great.
Oh.
Okay.
So you can just go in there and chat whatever, or you can say, hey, let's come in and chat about
this
the
stuff.
strike, or let's come in and chat about red carpet wear.
Fantastic.
Love that.
Could we talk about how much it costs for members and if it and you know the affordability? Because Haley and I were talking about that earlier. That is pretty affordable,
Very affordable.
for actors.
I mean, we wanted it to be affordable. We're actors ourselves, so we don't want to price gouge anyone. Our pricing mentality is whatever you're paying us, you should far exceed that in your earnings, right? Or your value. So not everyone wants to earn through it. Some people just want to do it. It's $10 a month, and you can cancel anytime. And if you do a year, it's $100, so you're getting 20.
So you can go
off.
month to month or an annual membership.
Yeah.
And we have a CFA discount code now. CFA 25.
An affiliate code.
25% off.
I love
And
that.
it supports CFA's podcast
It
as well.
does.
And so, yeah, if you go into the website and sign up, there's a promo code button. You put CFA 25 in there, and that gets you for $7.50 a month, which is a bargain.
And
That
this
is a great bargain.
just the beginning of our relationships with Darren and We Audition. I already have so many
Indiana
ideas.
has a business. Can you pitch Darren now?
Well, I want to
Is it
wrap
time?
things up because
Are we going to do Shark Tank?
we're going to do a Shark Tank.
Okay, wait, first, before we do that, I also want to say there are also actor meditations on We Audition if you feel like you
Yes,
need a
there
little
are.
meditation pre-audition.
Yeah.
Or something else. And there are also journals, so you can download and journal through We Audition.
So
There's some
great.
great easy prompts there.
See, Haley knows it all.
She
Okay.
does.
She can be your
I love-
ambassador.
I
Like,
am truly
literally-
a We Audition fan.
She is.
Super fan.
Trust me.
Big
I know.
fan.
I know she is.
Thank you. You know what? It's people like you that have really helped us grow, though, because we want to cultivate that super fan,
Mhm.
because the community is going to grow exponentially
Yeah.
through people liking it and telling their friends,
Yes.
Right.
And different to a competitive casting platform, you actually want more people on this. The more
Yes.
people there are,
Yep.
the better your We Audition network will be.
The better it
Totally.
works, yeah.
Now, I was saying, I have a lot of ideas for that we'll have to chat about afterwards about like potential events in the space with your We Audition
Yeah.
crowds. Maybe like the most reviewed people can come and we can do a networking event and things like
Absolutely.
that. I think we have a lot of educational stuff that we can put on the platform for you guys for free, and I'm really looking forward to it. Now, I'll do my last pitch before we have to wrap things up. So I will say thank you for coming on. It was such a pleasure to
for having
meet
me.
you and have you here in the space. My idea for you, and I'll make it very quick. I had it like while we were on a podcast, I think like last week, was Haley and I know after hearing this, you're not big on like the backdrop you need for your self-tapes and all this stuff. But I think what the things people can be learning is how to work with eyeline in their self-tapes or how to work with their own lights and not having to spend a ton of money on their self-tape setups. And so I think eventually when you have, the time and resources, that you should have an area where it's like DP self-tape review, where DPs can log on or be available for an hour a week or 2 hours a week. And maybe it's the agreement where you drop in and you show them, this is kind of my self-tape setup. Would you make any like quick suggestions? Because I've done it for Haley, I've done it for Brie and her husband, and it's really easy for DPs and it's really informational for actors. And so whether it's like, oh, you have those lights, we'll just move it here. Are you doing horror? You could probably move it over there to get more contrast. Or you could probably, like, if you want to have fun with it and feel more in your element, you can be further from the screen, or you can go on that 2 times on your iPhone. So it's a little more flattering and you're not as close. So I think it's like working within the space. So in addition to the auditions itself, I would suggest a little like technical review of their
A
setups.
DP green room, maybe.
Yes.
Or I mean, our listeners know that I have been perpetually frustrated with the full body slate because I could never figure out how to do it without making myself look just like a short clown, like an egg.
Yeah.
And then also like my camera, I looked so ugly on all. I was like, this is not what I looked like. I looked really freaky.
Yeah.
And Deanna was like, try this. And it took 2 seconds. We just zoomed into the 2 times and all of a
And
sudden
then
she's
pulled
like,
back. Yeah.
that's how the human eye sees your face. And now I look
Do
gorgeous.
you use
Yeah.
your front camera or your back camera?
I use my back camera.
No,
Right.
you use your front camera.
because I like to I
Wait,
like to
what are we
film
talking
myself,
about?
use my front camera as well.
Oh, so you
And
can
obviously
see
the
yourself.
yeah.
Oh,
well,
front camera. Sorry,
no,
back
no, I
camera.
use the
Yeah,
back
Wait,
camera.
yeah, yeah.
can you explain that? How, like, what's the best way on your iPhone?
The human eye
to-
sees between a 35 and a 50, mostly a 50. Peripherals is like with a 35. And so all you do is if you can find this space, so that's what it's about, is you pull your camera back, go on the 2x lens. You're still going to be with your resolution because it's like built in, or you can zoom in. You're still fine with your resolution,
right.
and it'll be more accurate to how the human eye is seeing you.
So it stops
So
that
you won't look-
bulbousness that we
Correct.
have.
You won't look
So it's
lame.
not going to bring your nose out. It's not going to put your ears back. It's going to be more to how they're going to film you, probably.
so like-
Isn't it?
1
Right.
second
Right.
of yeah.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think doing like a DP green room, like I've heard about, or doing like a DP review sesh where it's like you get 5 minutes with a DP, they're on for an hour or whatever it is. Maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe you book a thing, maybe it's I see a DP live now, you can book
Wow.
in with them. I think that would be a great add-on.
So I think it's a fantastic idea.
Great.
And by the time your podcast comes out, we probably will have launched our coaches and industry experts section, which is exactly what that is for.
CFA on there, and we will make
Yeah, so you'll be able to have a profile there. People will
Oh,
be able to
great.
one-on-one sessions with you
Great.
There we go.
for advice, this kind of stuff.
Darren, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. We look forward to many We Audition events and collaboration in the future. I know I have a lot of
Absolutely.
ideas, and so everyone check out We Audition and Darren. Thanks, everyone.
And use code CFA25.
Join us in bridging the gap between talent and crew. Start by subscribing on your preferred podcast platform, sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date on vendor discounts, community events, and new podcast releases, and educate yourself through our free course releases on YouTube. It all starts at cinematographyforactors.com. And if you like this episode, consider leaving a review to make it easier for other listeners to find us.